Alright guys, this is the next day. We got the car unloaded out of the trailer. Back in the garage. We decided to drive back home last night. Got back at home like 3 in the morning. So we're pretty tired, but got up this morning, got everything pulled out. Next step, I'm going to start tearing this thing down and get the motor out of the car and evaluate it, see where we're going to go from there. So we'll start getting all this stuff drained and get this thing pulled out. Woo, it is hot. It is officially summer. I got this thing outside, got the water and stuff drained out of it. Now I got the garage door down, trying to get it pulled off in here. Hood's off, front end's jacked up, and now I'm gonna start pulling everything off the motor, get it unbolted from transmission, and get it pulled out. So just slowly chipping away at it. Engine's out on the stand. Everything looks pretty good so far. But since the engine's out, man, I'm gonna tear this thing pretty much a good bit of the way down, at least down to the short block. I'm gonna check everything out. This engine's been in the car for like a year and a half, so it's been a trooper. We beat the crap out of it, and it's taken everything we've thrown at it up until this point. So kind of look down in the cylinders right here, or look down in the runners, intake runners. Down at the intake valves, and it doesn't look like there's any vent valves, but not really going to be able to tell until we get the head off, take the cam out with all the valves set up against the valve seats, and then check them. But fingers crossed that we didn't bend any valves, but most likely we did bend at least 1 or 2 valves, and that's going to be the big hitch in getting this thing back up, is getting new valves put in it. So we'll start tearing it down and see what we find. There she blows.
You're gonna pull that, put it out.
I got it.
Well, I didn't know
There it is.
where you want to put this?
In the same bag, timing cover stuff. Just snap the link. Right there. Done with. Now we pray that we don't have a vent valve.
Yep.
Alright guys, so got the front timing components pulled off the motor. Everything looks alright up there. I mean, other than the broken chain, it's not bad. I haven't really inspected this driver's side chain or passenger chain much, but obviously this one's broke, the driver's side. Everything else though looks to be in really good shape. I mean, there's no valve stuck down, so I'm hopeful. The cam is in amazing shape. There's literally no damage to the gear. The cam itself looks brand new. There's a keeping fresh oil in this thing has kept it looking really nice. Cam bores look brand new. Everything looks good, so I'm gonna bust the head studs loose next and then get the head pulled off, and then that's whenever we find out how bad it is. Alright guys, so the head's off, and bad news, the valves definitely made contact with the pistons. You can see here on the pistons where the valves have made contact down there on every piston. So that's not good. The head gasket, on a brighter note, looks great. There's been no there's no signs of any kind of leakage on the head gasket, so that's good. You can see where those O-rings bite into the head gaskets and really form a good seal on them. But yeah, coming over here to the head, you can see that it's got a bent exhaust valve right here. This exhaust valve is bent. Pretty much all the exhaust valves are bent, every last one of them. And then the intake valves, this one's bent. You can clearly see through there. This one's bent. You can see through right here. If I put a flashlight behind it, you really see it. Here, put a flashlight on the back side of this. Through the port right there. You can see the light through it. Yeah, they're done. So I'm gonna have to get with Jordan and get the head back to him and see what all needs to be done to him. That sucks though. But it is what it is. The cylinder walls look good. I'm gonna check. The pistons and everything should be fine. I'm gonna pull it down a little bit farther, pull the other head off, and it'll get new gaskets and get a freshen up before it all goes back together. So I'll start pulling the rest of this stuff apart and see how it looks. Alright, other head's off. Everything looks pretty good over here. This head gasket looks mint. Pretty good for 36 pounds of boost a few times. With some pumpy 85. It's pretty wild. Everything looks good. Cylinder walls look pretty good. These are probably some of the best looking cylinder walls I've ever had. I'm pretty impressed. A lot of times I'll get some scarring up on the top and bottom from the piston skirts, but this time, I mean, it's nice and clean and smooth. Still see the cross hatching in there. It's hard to tell in the video, but the cross hatching is still in the cylinders. Head looks good. I gotta give a big shout out to Jordan at Modular Head Shop once again. Between softening the chambers on these heads and putting the copper O-rings here with the Cometic head gaskets, it's been, I mean, this thing has been flawless, trouble-free. I'm very happy with it. I'm not even mad that I got a couple of bent valves. I mean, this engine's been together for 1.5 years with no issues, so that it could be a lot worse, a whole lot worse. So I think I'm gonna pull the oil pan off, and I kind of want to look at the bearings just to see how they look. All right, so I got all the pistons pulled out, and I'm really happy with what I see. This is the best looking engine I've ever pulled apart, considering how long it's been together and how hard I beat on it. The rod bearings are in great shape. I'm gonna reuse the rod bearings. I mean, they look almost brand new. Like, there's obviously on this side of the bearings, there's a little bit of wear, but I mean, there's hardly any wear on these things at all. They all look great. So those are gonna all get reused, and then this crank just as smooth as can be. I mean, look at that. That's how you want a crank to spin whenever it's torqued down to the block. This motor's always had great oil pressure. It's never fallen off at all. And I mean, I've shown fuel consumption numbers that say in the 1300, 1400 flywheel horsepower range before. So, I mean, this thing is taking a beating and it doesn't seem to care at all. So I'm really interested to see how the mains look on this thing, because these motors are bad about tearing the mains up, especially at high horsepower, because the crank does flex a little and it'll start touching down on the mains. So I'm really, really, really interested to see how these look.